As someone who's worked in the heating and air for years, I've been in countless older homes across the Twin Cities, and I can tell you there's one thing that keeps me up at night: asbestos. This stuff was everywhere in older buildings. Insulation, ductwork, pipe wrapping, and disturbing it can release dangerous fibers into the air. That's why I want to tell you about solutions for asbestos-free environments. Acronym: SAFE, S-A-F-E. And trust me, that acronym says it all, because safety is exactly what they deliver. They're certified by Minnesota Department of Health and fully compliant with EPA and OSHA standards. We at Twin City Heating, Air, and Electric use SAFE for abating asbestos during older boiler and gravity furnace replacements. Our electrical team relies on them when drilling through asbestos sidings and floors. I trust them with my customers' safety, and that says everything. Whether you're replacing that old furnace, renovating, or buying property, SAFE provides professional inspections and certified removal services. I've seen what happens when people skip the inspection and just start tearing into walls. Don't take chances. Visit asbestosservices.services to learn more and schedule your inspection today. That's asbestos.services, ASBESTOS.services, because your safety matters.
From working in his family's Chinese restaurant, to bartending, to becoming present-day owner of Twin City Heating, Air, and Electric, my father's true superpower is human connection. Now, he's on a mission to capture the most fascinating stories that make up the Minnesota community. You're listening to the Twin City Tales podcast.
What happens when a high school counselor tells you to lower your expectations? For Jeff Salzbrun, founder and owner of Commercial Equities Group, it became rocket fuel. Growing up in Anoka with a blue-collar family, Jeff learned early that success wasn't going to be handed to him. While other kids were out playing, he was running multiple paper routes and hustling sales. When the counselor suggests he become an electrician instead of pursuing business, Jeff didn't get discouraged. He just got angry. The good kind of angry that drives you forward. His path wasn't straight. Military service, academic struggles, starting at the bottom, doing demolition work. But Jeff had something that can't be taught: the refusal to stay down. In 2009, Jeff founded Commercial Equities Group, which, while others chase massive deals, Jeff built his business representing the people he came from: plumbers, HVAC companies, small engine shops, the businesses that make our communities run. Today, Jeff is not just closing deals, he's changing lives through mentorships, sponsoring a scholarship at St. Cloud State in honor of his late son, Noah. Jeff Salzbrun proves that where you start doesn't determine where you finish. This is Twin City Tales, where local stories inspire extraordinary outcomes. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Wymond. Thank you for having me. It's awesome being here. That was an amazing intro. I'm like, this guy should write books.
I wish I could, but I'm probably a little too lazy to actually sit down and write a book. That's a lot of
but
work.
It's like we do each other a lifetime. That was really good. Like, you're a good listener when we talk about some of this stuff. Like, good research.
Well,
did you talk to my wife? Did you end up talking?
I did a little bit.
My gosh.
She's fantastic.
Probably super nervous when you call that.
So she sent some pictures. We'll have that later on the show.
Oh, that's good.
It seems like you guys are in good standing because she didn't send any compromising photos of you or anything. So it'll be fun.
I was working on the furnace, so she didn't mention it.
Talking about that, we might need to hire you.
Yeah, right. I got some capacitors in my trunk. Which size do you need?
You grew up in Anoka, didn't you?
That's right. Yeah, I think we had to learn how to weld by third grade.
You did.
Or you get picked on in my neighborhood. Yeah.
Where in Anoka did you grow up?
Out past the high school on 7th Avenue, just a little river neighborhood on the Rum River. I think there were 62 or 63 houses then. They built a few more in that neighborhood, but I know that because we had the paper out. So
the newer high school, the one back then. The Anoka High School wasn't
not
there.
The downtown one, but the one out on 7th Avenue.
Yeah.
Built in 69, I think.
Oh, really?
I think it was 69.
Oh, maybe. I remember
Yeah,
going
because I
up
graduated
there.
in 87, so it's still pretty new school then.
Yeah. And I
69
graduated.
or 71 rings a bell.
I graduated in 83, but I remember coming up to the Tornadoes when we were sophomores.
Well, our football games were still always at the junior high.
Yes.
So,
But they also played basketball, and if you weren't on the varsity team, they would have it in a bubble out there. Like they had like a side gym there back
at
in
the high
80s.
school? I don't remember that.
I think it was in the high school, and it wasn't that big of a campus. They like grew it, didn't they?
Well, I left in 87, and it's a little ways off the street, so I really haven't driven back into there. But when I was there, like, it was great. We had like canoeing classes. We had golf classes. We go hide some beer up the river the night before and got 50 minutes to drink 6 Busch Lights in high school. It was perfect.
Did you explore that the hospital there, the Anoka, those grounds that they say are haunted?
Did I explore it? I spent a few nights there. That's what they would say to you if you got a DWI. So I got a DWI. They called it Happy Camp, and like we had to stay in these condemned buildings. Yeah, they were freezing.
Back in the 90s, 80s,
It was
and
probably
90s?
the early 90s. Yeah, after I came home from the Army.
I feel like they were abandoned around that time.
They
weren't
were. It was a state hospital before that.
Yeah.
And then it became like, kind of like a halfway house jail thing. And
didn't
if
know
you got
that.
a DWI, you had to go to Happy Camp. And that was like a 3-day weekend. But there was no heat. Like if you had to go there now, it'd be like, you should call them. They probably need a new system.
They do. Well, I think they're converting a lot of it to veterans. Like,
Yeah, they put a lot of money into it. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing up there now, but that was the plan. Solid
Yeah.
buildings.
it's a wild. Like if you drive in there, you can tell it was like
It's
a little bit
creepy.
Yeah,
Super creepy.
because they have all the underground tunnels that connect all those buildings and stuff too.
I got some
believe.
better stories. I'll tell you offline.
So you grew up there, paper routes, and you were hustling at the age of like 10, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, we grew up with, I think, like very little money initially. My parents got divorced when I was about 3, and living in apartments. And my mom was a coupon cutter, and it was all about survival, rather than in my life now. It's as you start to learn that abundance, if you think kind of positive, abundance will come instead of being on the defense. And but yeah, it was just trying to make ends meet. And I think I got one new bicycle at some point in my life. But once I got paper routes, and I had to buy everything that I wanted. So I just realized that I had one of my friend's dads was a Century 21 real estate agent, and I never thought I'd ever get into real estate, but he wore the gold suit and he would be at
The
everyone.
gold jacket.
He'd be at the soccer games, and like when we were growing up, parents didn't come to the daytime school concert.
No.
I mean, there was nobody there. It was the teacher standing around there doing it for
Right.
the other kids in the school, and then they'd do like an evening one or something for
Yeah.
the parents. Today, if I don't go to my daytime kids program, I'm like, I don't know. They want to oust me. It's child abuse, I think. But I don't think we had more or less than really anybody in our neighborhood then. Everybody had bikes put together with parts, and every now a kid would get a new bike once a summer. Like Jimmy got a new bike, but it wasn't like kids got everything like they do today.
Right.
And just a lot of racing bicycles down the gravel roads and doing whatever. But paper out. My first paper out I got with my brother, I remember we were making $16.80 every 2 weeks. And the rest was history. I mean, and if I was selling like the Anoka Halloween button or something after school,
Yeah.
they'd only give you like 3 or 5. And if you were on my bus, I'd go to your mom's house first and sell her a button.
Before you got.
But then I'd say, I'd get the money, and then I'd say, can I keep the button? I'll bring you another one tomorrow, because I didn't want to have no buttons to sell. And then if they refused, I'd eventually. I remember doing so I just want to make money. And then the readathon came along, and I went around and collected like a bag of money. And I didn't realize that how a readathon worked. Like you pledge, you're going to, I didn't understand anything, to be honest with you. Just give me some money and I'm going to read some books. And I remember my mom saying, we went to the library and I had to get all these books, and she forced me to, I didn't think I read one, but man, I made more money than anybody in my class. So I had this. And then as I grew up, I think the paper routes are really what helped my communication skills. Not that they're that fantastic, but You got to try, right?
Yeah.
You can't be afraid.
And you had the yellow cart with the cage on it, pushing it up and down the street. The tall one. Yeah.
I had a lot of papers. We moved into town in by Mercy Hospital when I was in 6th grade. And then I was able to secure a bunch of paper outs there. That's when you kind of paid a guy $100 to get his route, which was a ton of money then. And then I was really making money. That's when I was mowing lawns. I didn't really care about homework. I just cared about what am I going to do to get out of the situation. And the situation was, by that time, we're probably living a better life, but we're still cutting coupons. We're still, I had nice shoes and clothes at that point because we had to buy them ourselves.
Yeah.
So
hard part about having that paper out that I remember, and I only had a paper out for like 2-3 years, right? And it was the collecting. You had to go and collect the money back then, remember?
I bet you they could show us those stubs right now.
Those little stubs.
We still couldn't make sense out of the dates.
Right, exactly.
And by the time you figured it out, it was the end of the year and you had to hand write out new ones for the next year.
That's it. You'd knock on the door. Some people wouldn't answer. You'd see the curtains move and stuff. You're like, come on.
Then the guy that was the accountant would be like, you overcharged me because this doesn't make any sense. He'd have those little slips in his hand that he would save. He'd be like, oh, you could just have it. I'll just.
And it was like a buck a week or something like that. 20 cents a paper.
If you got the Sunday paper and the Afternoon Star, it was like $6.85.
Yeah.
And if you had the Morning Tribune, the Afternoon Star, and the weekend, both papers in the weekend, it was like $9 or something.
Yeah, we go back a long ways because a lot of people don't realize Star and Tribune were separate papers, and you got one in the morning, you got one in the afternoon. I think the Star was in the morning.
I had both routes for a while, not the whole time, but for a little while. And then when they merged them, they never let the paper boys know what was going on.
No, they did.
We're both showing up to do the same route. Then I think we wrestled and I won. There was no, the fact that they could have those type of employees, it's just really kind of crazy. We were contractors. They basically threw their product in your front yard to deliver. In my case, it was about 8 blocks away, uphill both ways. It really was a long ways away that I had to go. And so they say they give you $1,000 worth of papers at the end of the month to get a bill for $1,000, or maybe get $800 and the $200 is your profit.
Right.
If you can collect all the money, and you never collected all.
And you're
money.
like 12 to 15 years old, right? So you're getting kind of.
I was like 11. You're
kind of getting rooked, right? It's and then on top of that, if I remember right, back then, the Sunday paper, you actually have to put them together. They used to have here's the comics and the ads, and then the regular paper, and you had to put them together and then deliver it.
Stuff the papers.
Yes.
So when I say I just took a mutual friend of ours, Andy Voorhees, I took him through the neighborhood where I had to go, and I think he was like, "You're kidding me." So by the time you walked there with your empty cart, you're already frozen. You're freezing. It's cold out.
Right.
And then we had to stuff them outside of somebody had like a plywood box. And then my buddy next, I'll just call it, his name is Mark. He did the street next to me. We both had to go the furthest to get to the paper box, but I was another block further than him. And, his dad would show up every week with him on Saturday and Sunday and back the Isuzu truck up. They'd stuff him on the tailgate, which was I'm on the ground, stuffing mine. And you're just freezing. But you warm up really quick pushing that heavy cart. I think I weighed like 80 pounds back then. I was a little guy. Yeah. You're pushing this. And I had the big cart, so there's a lot of papers. But I had an apartment building. Had I not had an apartment building at the beginning of my route, I'd probably be dead. Because at least you were. And then you go into there, and it feels like it's 120 degrees. You got to go up and down the stairs and deliver.
I had a combination of apartments. I was in Golden Valley. There was apartments on the end, and then I had to deliver the neighborhood. And I just remember stuffing the papers in my garage. Even though it was cold, we didn't have a heated garage, but at least we were sheltered. And then you'd push it all the way around the block and then go up. And then the worst was you'd have to collect, right? And if they didn't pay, you had to cut them off. And then you'd get the phone call because everybody had your phone number, right? So your parents would get the phone call
the apartment,
hey, we didn't get paper.
The apartment, somebody would always steal somebody's paper. Every time.
Yeah.
And then they'd call your house, wake up your whole family. And then my parents would be like, why didn't you give Mrs. Swenson her paper again? I'm like, I did. No.
Those days are long gone.
But I was, our house, we were a block from Mercy Hospital. So I'd have to go buy a paper at full price. And then you got to call in to get your credit. But that took like a half hour. So we rode our bikes all winter long because you had to have a bike to be able to do all that.
Yeah, I think I had to run up to the gas station. It was across the freeway, and I'd go get that when we'd have a makeup. Or I think, remember they always had a district manager for you too, so he would drive by if you needed something. But
We didn't have those.
They don't. You didn't?
We did have a district manager, but he wasn't driving by anywhere.
Oh, he would come and talk to us.
Oh no, our guy, we never seen him. Other than we had to pay him.
There was, there's something to that. Us growing up that understood hard work and what it took doing that, right?
Yeah, I think about it every day. Like, how did I get here? And I think about it when I'm trying to help some of these young people. And I'm helping my kids pay for college, and everybody's like, they got to struggle. And there is something about struggle, and I'm sure we'll get into more of it, but I had a lot of struggle in my life, and having to figure that out and making the choice of what are you going to do? And there's a fork in the road. There seemed to be a lot more forks in my road probably than a kid that, the parents pay for college, go there, here's your car. Oh, your car broke, take mom's car, we'll fix it. Here's some gas money. If I had to take empty beer bottles to go get to the liquor store and return them to get the $2 so I could go put $1 in my gas tank just to get home to work.
Yeah.
$1 doesn't go far now, but at least, I remember I could take 3 cases of Busch Light bottles and get $5. I could put $3 in my tank and get a Snapple and drive back here to the city to go to work. It was great.
Yeah, the one book that I wish I would have read earlier and impart that on my kid is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? By
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, the knowledge is so much power, right? But, yeah. And then after that, you're growing up, you end up going to St. Cloud State, or did you go to the military first?
Military first.
Okay.
That's where the high school counselor, my Miss Zelinsky, if you're still out there, I hope you're listening to this. I was mad at her like my whole adult life. I think I've forgiven her by now. but she, you only had counselors in high school to figure out what was your next step, and every kid their parents were helping them and this and that. And you could join the military your junior year called the delayed entry program. You could actually sign the papers once you turned 17. You didn't go in and I think some people actually go to basic training between their junior and senior. They didn't have any of that. But my buddy was going to the military and they had a buddy program. You can go in with your buddy. That's all BS. That doesn't happen. But yeah, we hung out down at the Anoka Recruiting Center, and you're looking at all those shiny brochures, and I just want to jump out of airplanes. And my counselor was telling me that I'll never get into any college ever, but maybe I could get into Anoka Tech and be an electrician or something. But I could work for Twin City Heating and Air and Electric now. And I just I really enjoyed all that stuff. I liked working with my hands. I really love working on my snowmobiles and mini bikes and just building stuff and making stuff and because when you're broke and poor, you're not going to get anything. So you have to find something that your rich friend threw away because he doesn't know how to fix it. And I would find at the apartments on my paper road, I'd find old radios and bring them home and go to Radio Shack and buy new diodes and fix them and get them working. It was just super fun. And so just being really curious. And then, I did really well in the military. And looking back now, in the unit, let's say we needed a new air conditioner. I knew where to find everything. We hired I was in Germany. We hired a lot of the Germans in the military to do a lot. And we had this huge, they call it GSSCK, where they had all these buildings, and I knew what they did in every building. Here's where you go to get a new buffer pad. Here's where they fix the buffers. Here's where you get a new Jeep. Here's where you get new tires for your deuce and a half. But every time I went there, I'd just tell these guys how much I appreciated them. And I'd bring them a bottle of booze or something from our PX. Or we could buy cigarettes. You could only buy 4 cartons a month. We had a ration card. Our Marlboro cigarettes, I never smoked, so I didn't use my rations. Our Marlboro cigarettes are twice as good as theirs are. So they really want to get their hands on ours. So that was my currency. I would just, if I was going to the club or if I needed a a new bed or anything. And so people would come to me in my unit, and I was kind of the resource guy. And part of that, I was a colonel's driver for a while, so I met a lot of people doing that. And the military was really good. I was an airborne guy. We jumped out of planes. Probably wouldn't recommend that to anybody because your back and neck will hurt the rest of your life. And got out. I did really well in the military, and then I got out, went to St. Cloud State. And that's when I just kind of hit a brick wall.
So you must have just missed the Gulf War then.
Just missed it. Yep.
Yeah. Right
I got out June 23rd, 1990.
Wow. Okay.
Had I been there by August 1 is when it started. So
yeah, you would end up doing that. It's interesting because when you start talking about that, I'm thinking, you were kind of like the Radar on MASH. Remember Radar on that show MASH? He trades stuff to get things in, and he just happened to get stuff done because he knew where to get it, right? That's
everybody was like, find Salzbrun. And then we had like a couple semis in our unit. We had truck drivers assigned to our unit, but my dad was a truck driver. So I knew how to back up a trailer better than anybody. And these guys went to school. That was my job was to be a rigger and drop stuff out of planes and parachute stuff. And they'd be like, where's Salzbrun? Get that truck in here so we can get out of here, it's the end of the day and nobody go home to secure the building. And so, it was a lot of fun.
Wow. Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed the military. We probably drank a little too much because when you go to Germany, you're 18, there's no drinking age there. And in the military today, I have no idea. Maybe they enforce that now. But our leadership were partiers. It was a different military than it is today. And everybody always said, if you go over to Europe, they're a little easier on you because you're pretty far away from home. So,
oh, interesting.
So we took advantage of that.
I've got to admit, I've never been in the military service. I'm sure you hear this. Appreciate your service for the country.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome.
I never thought it would be what it, when I went in to get the $600 or $700 a month they were paying me.
Sure.
I think it's like $4,000 now. I went in to get away, but the way, and when I first got out in 1990 as a veteran, we were treated like shit. Like, you went in the military because you were too stupid to go to college, or your parents are too broke to send you to college. Like, why'd you go in the military? I mean, that's kind of how it was. People really looked down on the military. It was still kind of like the Vietnam time. Yeah. It was really till after Desert Storm that the whole appreciate your service and all that stuff started coming out. But even to this day, the benefits and how the military continues to take care of me is just mind-blowing. Like, I didn't know any of this going in. And I didn't even know I was a veteran probably till 10 years after I got out. I thought you had to be in a war and this and that and the other thing. But it's pretty cool. And I still have friends from the military that are just as close as my friends that are here every single day. The ones that are still alive.
So my dad was actually in the military too, for the U.S. military. He was in the Army branch, but he is buried at Fort Snelling, and he dropped right in between the Korean War and the Vietnam War. So he's kind of like, he didn't have to go to war, we're very blessed.
That's we were about a year later, my buddy got out. We lived together in an apartment going to college, and we got this paperwork that we were having to go back, and you had to get your professors fill it out. And we were super excited to go back. Like, we wanted to go be with our friends and get in this war and kick some butt. But, who knows? That's why I was saying to you kind of before the podcast, there's so many forks in the road. Like, man, what if that would have happened?
And you just never know. I always talk about the story like my dad was actually going to go back to Hong Kong in 65 to start, and I was born in 65. For some reason, he changed his mind at the last second to stay here in America and open up a restaurant. So you never know where your road takes you, right? And it's not always determined by you. It's determined by the choices that you make and other people make.
The good news is we're getting smarter now, and I'm trying to figure out what's the second half of my life going to look like. I think I can plan it better than I could then, because you have no idea then. You're just trying to survive.
Well, the nice thing is, too, you've got out of that labeling bit, right? Because, like, you're influenced at a certain age by being labeled, right? Especially when you told me your counselor said, yeah, you'll be an electrician. I was probably told that I would be a garbage collector, so I'm glad I didn't follow that path.
It started in first grade. I'll tell you where I noticed it. So I was a bad reader. I'm still a bad reader. I'm not a bad reader. I'm a slow reader. But I can out-math you any day of the week, right? Maybe not you, but I'm just saying math. I'm good.
Is it because I'm Asian?
Right, exactly. You got no. It's because you got an abacus hiding back there. I know. No, so I was in reading. Now this is like 1973 or 4 or 5 when I'm in first grade. You had the rabbit reading group, the squirrel reading group, and the turtles. I was a turtle.
You got labeled again.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think they like kind of suppress you immediately. So whenever I see, whenever I'm talking to young people and they tell me what they kind of want to do, you know, not the rest of their life. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish in the next 5 years? They're not thinking big enough. They just aren't. And I didn't have that growing up. And now I have that. And I give that. And I try to share that with people. Like, you have to think bigger, think a lot bigger.
You know, the amazing thing about the younger kids these days, too, is like us growing up, and we talk about like, we're in it for the money, right? We're going to go to the ends to do what we got to do to make money when we were growing up. But I feel like kids these days, they need to know why they're doing something. Otherwise, they'll go, you know, I don't exactly know why I'm doing this. I don't know the reasoning, and you're not explaining it to me. I'll go down to McDonald's, drop fries for $5 an hour less. I really don't care. You know, I think kids, the younger generation, look at it that way. And I think it's important to understand that, because if you don't make them feel a certain way, like, they have to connect, I think. And even more so now after the pandemic, and how we don't connect with people as once like we did when we were younger. I think that's so much more important.
But I think we look at it so much different, right? Like, so my son, Levi, he's 10. By the way, Levi, why aren't you at this podcast right now? You should be here. You know, he usually comes with me. He has this dad that is like the most mechanically inclined human being. Am I north of 694 right now? I probably got some competition up here. I live below 694, so. But I'm like insanely mechanically inclined, like insanely. I will take the engine out of your van out there and put it in my Tesla out here, and I'll get them both running by the end of the day somehow, you know? Like, and anything can be done. But I try to get him interested in that, and it's like, Dad, you know, he just doesn't have an interest in that. And I don't really let it get me down, because he understands compound interest at 10 years old. So it's like, and, you know, it's some of the things like that my son-in-law has the ability to do to help me out versus, you know, I'm looking for the physical guy that'll come and help me do all the physical hard stuff. And then I come to the realization that, like, he is like super smart. Like, he can help me with things that, you know, are way more important. And maybe I'm learning something from both those, you know, people, in that, you know, maybe because of our struggle or how we grew up, we've already made it. And not that they don't have to do it the way we did it. Like, they don't have to do it the way we did it. But they see a different path. And nothing against our parents either, right? It's just they're seeing a smarter, better way. Like, the generations just keep getting a little bit better. And so, do you really need to learn how to change spokes on your bicycle at 6th grade these days? I don't know, but we could.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't need, I don't even think my son could take the front wheel off a bike.
But on the other hand, as we've gotten older, we'll realize, like we talked about, like, we're out there shoveling our driveway and it's wet, heavy snow. If I was smart enough and I invested enough money, and, well, you know, I just have somebody do it.
We should start a new fund. You know, we're all worried about the 529 plan when we first might have kids going to. We should start the 629 plan. That the 629 plan is the money that we use to pay somebody to shovel, you know, and mow our lawn. The shoveling and lawn mowing fund, you know, that we for ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think that I had a really good friend up at my lake. Her name was Bonnie, and she died at about 93, 94. And at about 92, she fell off a ladder watering her plant and had like a big old knot coming out of her head. Oh, jeez. You know, but why was she on a ladder? Same reason you and I are still going to be shoveling in 20 years, because it's part of you, and you're not going to really change that. And it doesn't, no matter how much money you make, money doesn't change a lot of things. I think it's important to a point, but once you know, when you're younger, you're just trying to make money. But once you make enough money to pay your bills, then you start saying to yourself, well, now what? Okay, I can do that. And well, now how can I teach other people to get to that point? And what am I going to do beyond here? So,
and then you went to St. Cloud State after that.
it was a different school back then.
Okay, clarify.
So I came home from the military and I signed up for classes at Anoka Ramsey immediately. I thought I'd live with my parents for a little while. I don't know why, but why not? And I'd have more beer money by doing that. My buddy calls and says, no. We've been saving this room for you since you've been gone in the military. You're going to St. Cloud. So I got to St. Cloud State. I had to, you had to wait in line in the gymnasium to sign up for classes. And I took English. I thought algebra. I think I was signing up for microeconomics, biology, and softball. Full load. I dropped I told somebody I was taking that, and they're like, "You're never going to make it through that." So I dropped that before it even started, so I got my money back. They called me back and said, "You can't take algebra or this English 101 and algebra 101, whatever it was. You have to take algebra 095 and English 095, which I think they call it reading 095, to be quite honest with you. And by the way, those don't count towards your graduation. And by the way, the VA, I'm no longer a full-time student in the VA's. So they gave me $300 a month when I was full-time. And they paid me like the first 2 payments. And then they called me and they said, now I owe them money because they overpaid me because those classes don't count to get paid.
So you're learning quickly.
So then I drank about 3 cases of beer that night trying to figure out how I was going to survive.
Well, luckily you had ingenuity on how to get money right away, like working hard, right?
Yeah, so it's really hard in college. And now my kids were those other kids. Well, actually, they had jobs, but, most of the kids didn't really have jobs. Even at St. Cloud State. And St. Cloud State was kind of the working man's kids who go to that college. And a lot of us came down here for jobs. I came down here and I worked at Mercy Hospital. I had a number of jobs actually in St. Cloud as well. But it's really hard when your parents haven't been to college. They don't really know how to support you. Everybody's drinking and partying. I've been in the military for 3 years. I became an expert at all the above, chasing girls and drinking beer, right?
Right.
And but the difference is the military, your life was really structured. And now you're up at St. Cloud State, and I felt like I'm being harassed by the police because they're pulling me over because I'm doing 34 and a 30. And I had a motorcycle, so I was always going too fast and just getting in trouble left and right. Or people would bump into you in a bar, and next thing you know, you're in a fight. And I didn't plan on being in a fight, but it was like people are just drunk and dumb.
Right.
And I was probably one of them too, right? But it was probably so disappointing to my parents, and I'm sure they would agree, but it all worked out. That's why I have a lot of friends that have older kids, and they're always kind of saying, what do you do? What do you do? And I'm always like, don't worry. Everybody goes through that.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents probably did. They just haven't told you the stories, but I tell my kids all the stories. Levi's kind of catching on. I tell him that I wasn't that smart, but now I changed my tune, and I'm like, I was super smart. I just didn't apply myself. So I expect you to be the smartest in class, So.
And everybody learns differently. And then after that, you got out of St. Cloud, and that's kind of where you started. That's when you met John Allen, right?
Yeah. So actually, I met him way earlier than that. I met him when I first got home from the military. I started dating this gal, and she became his nanny over the summer. And I just knew he did something with warehouses. I wasn't too sure. So I'm already working at the hospital. Actually, the day after I got home from the military, I got a job at North Hennepin College doing janitorial. That lasted about 2 weeks because it was night shift, and I was like falling over because I forgot to sleep. Just couldn't get used to it.
Right.
But eventually I get hired at the hospital. And it's still summertime when all this is kind of going on. I meet John Allen, and he does something with warehouses, and I'm going rollerblading around Lake of the Isles. Like my girlfriend has an apartment in the house, And he comes around the side house. I really don't know him that well, but he came around and just starts harping at me because it's 11 o'clock. It's prime tanning time to me. I got my shirt off and put my rollerblades on. I'm going to go check out the gals and take a couple laps. And he just really tore into me. He's like, you're in college. You should be studying or working, and there's no other exercising is in the morning. I was like, dang, I don't even know this guy, right? And next morning, like he could see if my car was there if I was staying overnight. And I think it was like one of the next mornings. Comes down and it sounded like, I thought the house was on fire because you're cuddled up there and all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. And you're like, what is going on? And he's like, Jeffy. And I'm like, what? He's like, let's go. I'm like, let's go where? It's like 5 a.m. I mean, I was probably out till 2 a.m. I don't know. And he's like, we're going for a run. And I'm like, no, we're not going for a run. Yeah, we are. I don't have any shoes. And the gym is in the basement next to her apartment. Hold on. And he comes back around. He holds up a pair of shoes. And they're like a size too big for me. John's like 6'3". So he is not joking. And I think he's joking, but he's not joking. And so we go for a run around Lake of the Isles and he's 6'6". And I'm still in really good shape. I just got off from the military, still run. Like he's not going to smoke me. And it's because of his height. He smoked me. And, but basically during that run, he's just kind of giving me the lecture of, you exercise in the morning. And then he just kind of, I barely knew him and he took a liking to me and then said to go down to Shingle Creek and start doing some demo. And I had a motorcycle and we didn't have phones or anything. I had no idea how to get to Shingle Creek Parkway from Lake of the Isles. He wrote it on a little piece of paper. I had to pull over like 10 times and read it. And probably took me an hour to get there. It should have taken 15 minutes,
Right.
And there were just some guys tearing down some walls and I just started working. Like I could work. Nobody could outwork me. And, I think I intimidated the other guys I was working with. I was just working too hard and they left after the dumpster was full. I kept working another 8 hours or so. John showed up and it was just like, holy crap. I told him what I did. And I think that was his job interview right there. I just kept doing stuff for him.
Yeah.
Whatever I could do. So he already kind of trusts me because I'm with his kids. My girlfriend's with the kids. It was a trust thing. And I'm just forever grateful for that. That was my chance right there, and I grabbed on.
Well, part of it is you showing up every day, right? That's half the battle right there. Showing up and whatever they put in front of you, you just did.
I remember he's like, go up to Maple Grove and, first I had to go pick up a truck. Go down and figure out or get Jenny to take you down, pick up this truck at 8. And I just thought I was picking up for him and I put it in front of his house. And then he's like, where did the truck go? And I'm like, it's in front of your house. And I'm back in my apartment, He's like, well, you're going to need that. You got to go pick up a skid loader from Maple Grove. And I'm like, what? Apparently that truck was like, I needed that truck because I was going to be doing some more work. And, and I drove semi in the military, but I was pulling the skid loader. I'm like, these things are heavy. I never operated one, but I had to get it on the trailer to get it out of there. And then he had me doing all kinds of mulching trees. We were doing some land development at the time. And I didn't know how to drive a skid loader. I didn't know how to start a skid loader, but I ran a lot of heavy equipment in the military. And I knew how to figure stuff out. Yeah. And, I knew how to chain stuff. Nobody had to show me how to chain the thing down to the trailer. Nobody had to show me the stuff. Like I already knew half the stuff. And so just continue to impress him. And one day he finally says, I got to pay you. What am I going to pay you? And I said, $8. And he said 11. I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
And I thought I was super rich then,
This is like in the early 90s or late, mid 90s.
This would be about 91 or 2, somewhere there. 91.
Yeah, and $11 was kind of good money because...
Well, I was making like 11. I told him I was making like 11 something at the hospital.
Yeah.
But this was kind of like my side gig.
Yeah.
So I figured...
And he just said $11.
Just said $11.
I just remember starting at Centerpoint. You know what my starting wage was at Centerpoint Energy? It was like, and it's union, it was like $10.25 or something like that. It was crazy, right? It
seems crazy now, but those numbers are still stuck in your head when you're hiring somebody today and they tell you what they want, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a kid, one of my really good buddy's sons came over and he raked a bunch of leaves and he sent me a text and it was like $200 or $300. And this would be in the 629 plan we talked about earlier.
Right.
So it wouldn't matter. But, he's like, the way he said it in the text, because he had a buddy there, he's like, well, we got 9 man hours into this and at $40 a guy, and it's like, he's paying his buddy like $20 an hour to come along and help him. But I was like, $40 an hour for a high school kid? Like, holy buckets, I was making, I remember mowing these lawns, on my paper out, like these apartment lawns that big trailers show up. I was working for a guy named John Weaver up in Anoka. He owned a whole bunch of apartments. And I pulled a lawn boy mower behind my bike with the first lawn boy gas weed whippers strapped to the handlebars. And I'd go around apartment mow for like $3.25 an hour.
Right.
Pull weeds, mow lawns after my paper routes. It was no wonder I didn't get any homework done.
Wow. I bartended at a place called Bennigan's back in the day.
Yeah.
It was on 394.
Yeah. It was a great
back
spot. I probably met you then.
It was that, yeah, that's probably true. But if you really think about it, we were really happy to pull out of there in tips about $100 to $120 a night. And then we got $3 and like 25 cents an hour. And then we had to claim our tips, right? But if you really look at it, we're making $13, $14, $15 an hour. And we're like, we're rich. You know what I mean? Like that was good money, but you can only bartend for so long in your life, right? Like,
but I always wish I was a waiter or waitress. I had a girlfriend for a while in college, and my college went from 90 to 98, so somewhere in there, right? And she would come home and make like $600 a night out at Bebop's.
Yeah.
You know, like just loads of cash. And I'm working construction and for the hospital and John for 2 weeks to get that same amount, and she'd get it in one night.
Yeah.
You know,
it has to be a good night though, like a Friday or a weekend night. That's still pretty good money, I think, even to this day and age. $600 in a night.
But back then, the key was you had to be a good-looking gal, and you just never told anybody you had a boyfriend. I couldn't go in there. It had to be like a secret. But
or you just walk around like in a different bar, like in Cheers. Carla would put a pillow underneath her shirt and walk around like she's pregnant. So you worked there for a while, and then you were working for, and then how did you decide to get into the commercial real estate sphere?
So I remember many times John would bring me in the office and say, hey, what do you want to do? We were building all his buildings ourselves. In other words, we didn't have Ryan companies do it. We had our architect, we had all our groups, and I would help John pull the numbers together on all these jobs from day one. And not from day one. Eventually, when I graduated from college, I got into the office finally. And that was in 1998. And once I'm in the office, now I'm wearing a suit and tie every day. Some nights John and I would plow all night long, and we'd still be in the office all day long, just fighting through it. Like, not like these days where somebody works another hour. They think like you hired them for $60,000 a year and they only work 40 hours a week. But if they do anything extra, you should pay them extra, you know? And I would, if John asked me to work 30 hours a day, I just did, you know, it didn't matter. Pick me up from the airport on Sunday, I'll be there. I was just so happy to have a job and be with somebody that's pretty sharp. And trying to think where the heck I was going with this. But just working super, super hard all the time. I can't remember what the heck I was going to say there. Sorry.
No, we were going down the road of, how'd you get into the commercial space? So working for John,
lucked out. He built all his own buildings. I was really at the right place at the right time, and it was the trust. And I thought that if John started a shipyard, I would go run the shipyard. Like I never thought I'd ever leave him no matter what. But every now and then he'd say to me, like, I was really good at the construction, like building this building here would be super simple for me. In fact, when they built this building, I think I helped them, helped us do some things. But he wasn't really teaching me, like, here's how and why, and here's how much money I'm going to make. He would just be like, do this, make sure you get 3 bids and do this, and this isn't right. And he'd show me how and why. But like when I'm mentoring people in my company now, I'm like showing them how and why and the whole thing. He wasn't really getting that deep into it. He just wanted me to work super hard. And so I was able to build these buildings and run these jobs by myself. And we had a guy that we hired to do a few of them, and I learned a lot from him. I just kind of learned quickly on whatever needed to be done. And then I was really, when I first got in the office, I had to bring my own computer that I had in college, a piece of crap. But I mean, they didn't really have computers in offices then too much, but I had to bring my own, drove my own car, eventually bought me a car, and then he bought me a computer. And I was really good with Excel, so I could do a lot of the stuff like, I know we were talking about earlier, like, we got to lean on our children now because they're way techier than we are.
Yeah.
So I was able to do a lot of that stuff. But he would say, do you want to be a contractor or do you want to be a broker? And I'm like, I like to do the deals. So I'd be building buildings. I was always in a suit and tie. So I'm at the construction site, ruining my shoes and suit. And the next minute I'm taking Honeywell through a building. right? Or a client through a building, or, one of the tenants, or I'm going to meet with one of our existing tenants. And so we were really running the whole operation. We owned them and managed them. And eventually, I got my license. I didn't really need it because we were just working on his buildings. In other words, if a client called, if we couldn't plug them into our buildings, I didn't go represent them out in the field, which is what I ended up doing once I left John. But it was an amazing career. It still is an amazing career, but it was amazing working for John Allen. I mean, I'm more grateful for it each and every day now than I actually was when I was there.
Well, you truly, with John, you truly went through the school of hard knocks.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And you know what they say about tuition for that is,
yeah,
a pint of blood and a pound of flesh, basically, was what you put into that.
But it was great because he grew up, on a farm, and his dad was a school teacher. I think the years of actually physically working for John, like when I was out being his right-hand guy and doing anything that needed to be done, the work ethic was just never a question.
Yeah.
Or the trust, now, did I put him through some challenges, getting into some trouble? 100%, but everybody does. And, yeah, he really gave me some second chances. And,
yeah, and it sounds like it because
it was worth it.
Talked a little bit about you had lost your license at one point.
Yeah.
And this is past statute of limitations, so I think you're safe.
I am safe.
They can't come and bust you or anything like that. But you were driving for a while without a license just because you're saying, I got to work.
I just talked to somebody, and I think like between 18, I was in the military 18, 21, we won't count those years. So 21 to probably 30, I probably had my license 3 of those years, total of 3.
Wow.
I'd lose my license. Yeah. But it was like speeding tickets really was just dumb stuff. It was, I'd lose my license because I couldn't afford to pay the fine to go to court. Now, I did get a couple DWIs. Those were major. But still, I couldn't afford the reinstatement fee to go take the test and get my license back. So you have to say to yourself, like, okay, I'm not a dummy. I don't know why this happened, but, and then you have roommates in college that never have to leave college or do anything, and they don't even have a car there because they don't have to work. They're just going to college and drinking all day, and I got to go to work. So these problem-solving skills that I have today, I 100% give credit to the trouble that I got in because I had nobody to go to really help me. I couldn't go to my parents and say, my kid right now, if it happened to them, they would guilt you into it. You're not going to give me $700, Dad. I'm not going to be able to drive and go to work or go to school. So I'm just going to go float in the boat all day, You'd never go to your parents and say that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had to figure it out. My parents weren't going to give me $5. They didn't care. It wasn't their problem. It was my problem. I'm an adult now. And so by going through those things, it really, really helped me in my career.
I think you learn how to take calculated risks.
Well, it's not just a calculated risk, but I took many calculated,
which isn't always good.
Well, I think risk on, like if I buy this camera, is it going to pay off? Stuff like that.
Yeah,
for sure,
yeah. But you learn that, right?
Yeah.
As part of, I
but
drive
more even
without
like,
license? And
more of like when I was building buildings and you had to go get permits and you had to go through those processes, it was kind of the same as like how to get your driver's license back.
Yeah.
You got to go down to the courthouse. You got to go down to the inspections department. You got to, and you're in the business of pulling permits. You go down there to pull permits in some of these cities and you want to just grab the person by their ears and be like, what are you, an idiot? Like, all I'm doing is changing an outlet. They make it into just such a huge big deal. It's the same thing as going 37 and a 35, or maybe I was really doing 45 and a 30. It doesn't matter.
Right.
240, 242, right? But you got to learn to follow the rules if you're eventually going to get traction and get somewhere.
Yep.
And whether you agree with them or not.
Right. And legitimize. You got to play the game.
But it's hard to do when you're in your 20s.
Yeah, it is. And especially if you've had some stuff that happened and that you're trying to get traction, but yet you have to go, okay, is this worth the risk that I'm taking, right? And you had to make some of those decisions.
And the lonely feeling of you think nobody cares. I went to work and I always thought my coworkers cared more than my own family, and it's just how I felt, and whether it was right or wrong. It's it's powerful, man. I can bring up those emotions within a second. And so that's really, I think, what pushes me to want to help people today, because it's not that hard. I mean, once you start making it, it's not that hard.
Yeah, there's just so many things to that. I wanted to get into a little bit more about how you, well, in case the audience doesn't know, Jeff and I met a while back of just doing business, but what really was cool about it was part of our connection was the building that I was able to purchase through you.
We're in it.
And we're in it right now in our studio, Studio A at Twin City Heating and Electric. But the other thing too is, as we've gone through our process of knowing each other, I think what really amazes me is I got to meet, I knew Von Hard, we knew a lot of the same people, but the story that really intrigued me is Marcus, that you helped.
Yes. I heard he's coming in.
He is. He's excited. I'm excited to have him. He was an incredible story too. With, I think Sean Penn helped him get over here from. Was he from the
He's
islands?
From Haiti. From Haiti.
That's right.
From Haiti,
That's right.
and I had gotten to know his father at a lumberyard up at my lake, and then we were at like the Grantsburg County Fair. And I got to meet him. Of course, I'm shocked that, you adopted a little boy, and Mark was just a little young. I mean, maybe he was probably a little bit younger than Levi right now. So maybe he was like 8 or 10 or something like that. And in the community of Grantsburg, you're like thinking, oh boy, but his parents are just super, super wonderful people. And, I knew his dad and many of the people that his dad works with. The only reason I knew everybody at the lumberyard is I had a fire and had to build a new cabin. So I really got to know the lumber people well. And he, I knew the day I met him, I really appreciated his father. I knew his dad. And I knew that day, I'm going to have to help this kid someday. Just because growing up, being a Haitian kid in Grantsburg, Wisconsin, is going to be a tough role. Like the kid's got to get to a city, right? And so I always just really kept track of him as much as I could. And he became a fisherman and loved to fish. So then I'm like, his dad would drop him off at our lake all day long while he went to work. And Marcus had bought his own boat when he was younger, and him and a buddy. And I'd say, hey, if there's ever a storm, you guys can go into my cabin, because I'm on the lake. And so at least they had a dock to go to and things like that. Or if they got rained out, they'd go sit up there and hang out. And I just really kept tabs on him. Went to his graduation party, and then just I'm really excited to see the podcast. But he just an amazing young man. And the people I've met through him that I've been able to help as well. It's just there's some people you meet that you just want to give everything you got to help them. And I think I was definitely not that amazing man. I mean, of all the people that John Allen knew, like how he picked me, it's like, it was convenient because I was the nanny's boyfriend and I could do a couple of things. I never dreamed I'd be there that many years. But, Marcus is, he's at St. Thomas now. He's a student at St. Thomas, and he's gonna do amazing things. And just having people believe in you, and those are the rewards now. Like I said, once you pay the bills, what's next? Well, what fuels my fire is, as I'm sure when John sees the things I'm doing, he's impressed. And it's just hearing from these people's parents, people that know them, and like just Thanksgiving, the amount of messages I got from all the people you helped out in life that you kind of maybe forgot, or some young person that, what's really weird is when you take time and meet some young person and you're willing to give them everything. Like they don't even realize it. Like I'd pay for their entire college. Like, I really would. It depends on the circumstances. And then they never call you back, or they just drift off, and some of them end up sticking around. So I think that there's two folds of that. Like people help me, so we need to help other people. But I also think the people that you and I are mentoring, like you're saying, hey, I got a son over here and I got a daughter over here, and I'm not going to be here forever. So look after them like I've looked after you. I think there's part of that in that.
That's what makes you...
You kind of build your own family.
That's what makes you really incredible. That's one of the things that drew me to you as we talked about it, and just getting to learn more about your story growing up in the Anoka area. And I've heard different things, and you're kind of remarkable too. But anyways, along with that, we should probably take a quick break here.
Perfect.
And we'll come back.
Perfect.
Anoka Meals on Wheels, a nonprofit organization that I proudly support, delivers more than just nutritious meals to seniors in our community. They deliver connection, care, and peace of mind. Their volunteers don't just drop off food, they check in, share a smile, and ensure our neighbors know they're not forgotten. I know because I am one of those volunteer drivers. Help us keep serving those who need it most. Visit mowanoka.org to volunteer, donate, or learn more about Anoka Meals on Wheels, nourishing bodies and spirits one meal at a time. Tired of lugging heavy bags of water softener salt from the store? Twin City Heating, Air, and Electric now delivers premium water softener salt right to your home in returnable, reusable 20-pound containers to go green and light it up to save you from injury. Serving the north suburbs, we're your neighbors who know how hard our water is. No more running out of salt and dealing with spotty dishes and stiff laundry. Quality salt, reliable delivery, local service you can trust. Because at Twin City Heating, Air, and Electric, we don't just keep your home comfortable, we keep your water soft and your life easy. Twin City Heating, Air, and Electric, now with water softener salt delivery. Call today or visit us online. If you're enjoying this podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you could take a few seconds to hit that subscribe button. It helps us reach more listeners, and if you're feeling extra generous, it'd be great if you can leave us a rating or a review. That would mean a lot to us, and it would help a lot of the businesses that are in this community get more traction. It only takes a minute, but it makes a huge difference in helping other people discover the show. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Twin Sea Tales for behind-the-scenes content and episode updates and more. So we are back with Jeff Salzbrun of Commercial Equities Group, and this is the part where Josie, your wife, sent me some pictures. She seems like she's in a good mood. You don't have anything that she's mad at you about? Because I'll show you the first picture.
You called her. She loves talking to young men. I told you that. So,
but I'm an older man, so
no, I know you. But any contract that comes out, she's so nice to them. So
she is.
You should go there and do some work.
There you go.
I'll tell you my furnace filter story later if I did. I can remember. I did tell you that story.
So this first picture that I have is you're hanging out with like 4 other young kids. And
this is probably my favorite. It's my favorite picture. Somebody just sent me. My brother did this one in AI, and just so it turned into like an AI cartoon. And the guy with so this was a lucky rabbit's foot that he's got. You know, it was like a keychain thing. So maybe it was a real rabbit's tail or something.
So he has a rabbit's foot on his nose.
His name is Joe Hinkemeyer, and I hope I'll send this podcast to him. This is John Hinkemeyer and this is Joe Hinkemeyer. We're living in Sauk Rapids in this photo. Actually, in their basement, it was like a walkout apartment.
Oh,
the lower level of their house. Yeah, so we're like, I can tell you. Joe got the first pair of jeans, Joel, and then
who is the one in the blue with the dots on
and then we got the hand-me-downs. So you can see what they look like by the time I get to them. They're pretty torn up, and we had no money at this. We had nothing. So in this picture, my mom is divorced, and it's 3 kids and mom renting at. But we're at a walkout apartment on the Mississippi River, which is pretty cool.
And I can tell the jackets somewhat the 70s for some reason.
Yeah, those are little slugger jackets.
Yes, and they had the little baseball teams on each little dots.
You notice I'm not wearing one. There's no way we could afford that. But they were really cool. That's my favorite picture. But if you look at me there and you think like, wow, this guy's going to become something that's pretty crazy. But that's a great picture. We don't have a lot of pictures back then.
Right.
Not like today, right? And especially for us, we didn't have any money for that.
Sure. This one I really like. You are in an Army t-shirt. Was this before going to the military?
I can do more push-ups right now than I could do then. I'm not even kidding.
Really?
Yeah, I'm 56. Yeah, I'm standing at the end of the hall in the barracks on the 3rd floor. And my room was about 3 doors down. The laundry room was to my left. And that was like our patio. That's where we hung out and had a couple beers at the end of the night.
Wow, you looked really young there. Probably around 19.
My nickname was The Kid.
The Kid.
And if you look at it, when I post, like, I'm sure you might see on Facebook on Veterans Day, I'll put a picture and, everybody comments. And if you look below, all my buddies that were in the unit that are still alive and I'm friends with, they're like, The Kid. Because I was the kid. But I was at some point in my unit, even though I was there 3 years, seems like a lifetime, I was one of the older guys in the barracks because most people got married and lived off base. They didn't live in the barracks because you could be married and live in an apartment. Why would you want to be in the barracks? But all the fun happened. And our unit was 30 people, so the fun happened in the barracks. It was like 20 of us or something. Yeah, I was like the mentor then. I really was.
Sounds like the military was really a lot of good memories for you there.
Well, you think I look young, and I think I look like a brick there because I was like, I think I was 120 pounds wet when I went in, and then you come back and you weigh 187, and you got pecs and muscles. It was like, it's crazy.
And it's kind of funny because you grow, like your growth spurt for these kids, like you'll see them like,
I'm not done
when they
growing.
hit college, they like all of a sudden get bigger.
Yeah, but I'm not done growing then. I was pretty small guy.
Yeah.
But I love that my wife picked some great pictures.
She did.
Man,
I
didn't even
were called Kid.
What did you ask her to send? Just an army picture, or did you say?
I just
send
asked
me your
her
favorites.
to send a few of her favorites, something that we could talk about.
That's interesting.
So, and then this one, you're in a full beret in the military there. So
I think today everybody in the military wears berets. So this is great. So right there, I'm a specialist. So I'm an E4. So I know automatically right now that this is 1990, and I'm getting out soon. So in our unit, we were the only airborne people in all of Europe, which we called USER then. We're the only active duty airborne unit there. So I don't care if you're in Kaiserslautern, Germany, where we were based, or if you went over to France, England, anywhere around Europe. If you were wearing a beret, people knew. We used to have a cadence we sung, who you are and where you came from. So we're the elite unit in all of Europe. So if I'm at a bar and I mouth off and I'm in uniform, you know where my unit is. If you want to come back and tell my first sergeant or beat the shit out of me or whatever I did wrong or right or wrong, right? So we had to have the best pressed uniforms, and we had to look 100% and represent our unit anywhere we went. So behavior was important in uniform. We just had to be the most squared away because we were airborne. And that was pretty cool.
That makes sense.
It was cool, but it was also kind of a curse. Like, we never wore those baseball cap looking, we call them leg hats. We wore legs. And that was pretty awesome. That's a picture. That's our daily outfit right there. But when we put our Class A's on, we look
sharp,
super sharp. Well, we had more pins and awards than anybody, So
that's awesome. And airborne.
It was cool. It was cool. I don't know where she found that picture either.
And one of my favorites here is.
I love that. I've seen other podcasts where you do this, and I think it's a great idea. It's just awesome. I love that one. This is Mike Wenzel's garage.
Is it?
Yeah.
We got a picture. That is a cool looking motorcycle too. It's like
my daughter Haley painted that tank and duct taped that seat and painted the side covers. We're about to ride to Panama, and Mike and I planned this trip. We couldn't. We wanted to ride into Mexico and dump some bikes, come back, but then you got a customs problem because you dumped your motorcycle. So now we're like, we got to ride all the way to Chile or Panama or somewhere down that way. And we built these bikes in the winter. We decided this late fall, built them in the winter. I think we took this trip. This picture's probably from January. I don't know, probably 15 years ago at this point. We're getting old fast. And we rode these things all the way to Panama. They're XS 650s, but Mike took this picture, and I think this is probably the night before we loaded these things into a trailer and left.
Wow.
And it was crazy. We were crazy. We're still crazy.
Nothing wrong with that. Quite the adventure for sure.
Yeah. Like when we say we're motorcycle adventure riders, some people think the qualification of that is to go down to your BMW dealership and buy a fancy motorcycle and jacket. And Mike and I, as you know, we could have afforded to buy any bike and do whatever we wanted, but we built these. So we had a bet. I think we could spend like $400 or you had to put together a shitty bike, and we're both very good mechanics. But the funny story is when Mike met me, he thought that I didn't know jack shit because I wore a suit and tie.
Right.
Standing on rooftop.
Never judge a book by a cover.
Looking at rooftop units with
right.
him, on a roof. But it turns out that we ended up, our friendship really started in commercial real estate, but it became better because we're great travel partners. I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
no, it does.
Like, you and I are great friends, but we might not travel well together. And a travel partner is a guy who's pretty laid, like we're both like laid back. Like when your bike breaks down on the side of the road, we don't get panicked. We're just like, okay,
we'll figure it out.
Put a coconut in the cylinder and keep driving or whatever. But yeah, my wife, when I look at this picture though, I think about, she must have been worried to death. I mean, seriously, I'm still pretty crazy at this point in my life. I'm much older. I mean, I'm a professional now and working for John. And it still amazes me that, number one, if I'm going with Mike, she thinks the Wenzels are saints. So, it's always a yes. Oh, this is going to be fine. He's going with Mike.
Wait till Mike and Ken hear about this, right?
Yeah, no, they know. But this is why, and Ken wasn't able to go on this trip, but it was just Mike and I, and it's an amazing trip. And these photos, the importance that I see in this photo is number one. I tell my son all the time, and I know your son is recording this and listening. Like when you get married, you have to continue to take your trips and do things with your friends. It can't all be about your wife, because these trips make your relationship stronger. They do, because you're missing your wife while you're gone. You're really thinking about what you got and how lucky you are. But you have to continue to do that your whole life. I really believe that.
I agree with you. I think part of it, and the wife should be doing the same thing.
My wife does. Luckily for me, my wife goes on trips all the time.
Or not just trips, but have other friends outside. Because that's the one thing that I sometimes worry about my current wife. Right, like she has friends, and she's doing more of it. But I feel like that's a big part of who I am, because I'll go play cards with the guys that I've known since middle school, right? Yeah. So, and we'll play maybe once, twice, 3 times a year. It seems like it's getting less and less every year. But then I'll go to sporting events with
relationships take effort.
Yes, like, it does.
You and I are friends, but that could end tomorrow if any one of us calls each other and says, let's go to lunch. Or we don't just say, hey, I was thinking about you. I saw your truck or whatever. They take work. They take effort. But my wife has been a super trooper. I don't, as long as I say, so we just took a recent trip I told you about. And the way I pitched to my wife is Mike and I are going on a motorcycle trip. We didn't even see a motorcycle on that trip, but we're getting older now. So she's probably happy that we're doing trains and planes and automobiles instead.
Right.
But
not as much worry.
Yeah, but man, I wasn't worried then at all. I figured we could fight our way through anything. And Mike's like 8 years older than me. So it was...
I got to admit, I wanted to buy a motorcycle like 4 years ago, a two-wheel. I had a KZ 750 back when I was younger. Fast bike, right? That Kawasaki.
Yeah.
My wife, no way is she going to let me have a motorcycle. So I ended up buying a Can-Am, that 3-wheeler. I get the same, but at least it makes her feel comfortable about it, right?
I've been giving my motorcycles away. I'm actually my vision and my, I don't know. It's the drivers that are out there too now today.
Yeah.
People are so distracted driving, but the places we rode and the things we've done, like,
yeah, I can imagine.
I'm surprised we lived. I mean, we think about it before we left, but Mike, like I would say that we're experts, and I'm not trying to be like, I'm better. but we didn't know this. But Mike and I knew each other for 20 years. We didn't know this about each other. But yeah, I could talk forever about motorcycles.
No, that's cool. I mean, I love riding. I just don't do it enough. But
she sent you some fun pictures. That was pretty. Was
that
the last one, or did she?
That is the last one. So
good job, honey. Those are good pictures.
They are good.
They really cover the.
Yeah, and your wife is so sweet. When I was texting her and talking to her about it, so she really did a great job. The one question I always like to ask, like this is 15 years ago, but I'd like to even go back to like the military one where, looking at this picture when you first got in the military, what would be the advice you'd give yourself right now if you go back in time and go, hey, Jeff, let me tell you a little something as you get older that you're going to need to know.
Man, I had no idea how hard it was going to get after that. The military was tough, right? You learn a lot of mental discipline and physically what you're able to do. The advice I would give somebody then is like, you have no idea what's ahead of you, so don't really worry about it. I mean, but set bigger goals, set huge goals, and believe in yourself, or find a mentor. You have to find a mentor. You have to find somebody that'll believe in you and convince them to believe in you. Wash their car, mow their lawn, keep hanging out. If some kid really wanted everything I have, I'd come over and just shovel my driveway before I got home and impress me so that I have to hire you. I can't say no, right? Like, if you're really looking for a job, come over here to your parking. If you came up every day and somebody's out there sweeping your parking lot, and it was me, and you're like, what the hell are you doing? I need a job, and I'm going to keep working around here until I impress you. And I'm going to wash your windows when you're not here, and I'm going to keep doing shit till you hire me, right?
Right.
But at that age, I had a lot of trouble come up beyond that. And this is I think you have to, like, in this picture right here, I'm 20. It's amazing how I can look at these pictures and just know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm 20. Not quite 21, but 20. And I think that I might have been 19, but I can tell there's green grass in the background, so I know about what time of year it is and how long I've been there, and the size of my muscles. But yeah, that kid is about to go through a lot of shit.
That's some good advice to, yeah.
But I think you gotta realize, like, hey, I've said this before. If you're really, really looking for help, go to a golf course. Because if the guys are there, they've obviously got some sort of success. And you would be surprised how many people there are, like my friend Wymond here and I, that would take you to lunch and just help you through the day. Like, don't give up. I have a lot of friends that have committed suicide and done, and I'm not saying I would have, but I was a good candidate. Well, I've sat and cried next to the river many times wondering how I'm going to get to that next day. And there's somebody out there that'll help you. You just got to ask and cling on.
Think of everything you've done. And if you would have done that, it's almost like It's a Wonderful Life, right? Like, you just never know how many people you affected. And just hearing what you just said there about, hey, just go mow somebody's yard, do something.
Somebody will feed you. Somebody will take you in.
I feel like John really did impart those impressions on you because he gave you that.
Even when I was with him, I was struggling internally and couldn't really go to him and say, I need $100. And he would be like, work for it, or here's $100 and you better be at work tomorrow.
Right. But he showed up. You showed up every day. That's what impressed him.
Yeah.
100%. To get you. And that's where you've learned that. We're like, that's how you're going to impress me. And that's how I will help you.
Yeah.
The difference is you'd probably help them with $100
I think at the time, the struggle, like, was real. I think this abundance thing is something kind of new in my life as I've gotten older. But if I was telling somebody younger at that age, I'd say, man, you got everything to lose and everything to gain too. You could, at least my decisions got, the book, The Compound Effect, I suggest to many people, like, just keep making a little bit better choice every single day. If you drank 36 beers yesterday, just try to drink 35 today and make your bed. And then tomorrow drink 34 and make your bed and straighten your closet out. And then the next day drink 33. You know what I mean? Just to keep making small changes towards the direction you want to go, and you're going to be fine.
I think 1% better every day. If you can get 1% better every day at something, It doesn't have to be everything, but if you get 1% better.
That doesn't mean we have it all figured out.
No, absolutely not.
I still make mistakes every day, especially in marriage. It's marriage. My wife's wonderful, but it's hard. It's like, I think about how much I love her every single day, but something about telling her, I just can't. I don't know why. It's hard.
But you know what, though? It's an infinite game. There's no winner or loser at the end of the day, right?
Right.
You have to go. Nobody ever goes out of marriage and go, I won, right? I think you have to get better every day, and it's making each other better every day to be able to have that enjoyment of your life, right?
I'm like super lucky because like my wife's never given up on me either, but when I met her, I knew I had to get my shit together. Like, man, I got to impress this gal. I got to keep impressing her. Like, this is going to be hard.
I have to admit, I'm blessed too with that. My wife has been a saint. I want to be better every day for her, but she's not a risk taker, and you and I are risk takers because I think that's in our DNA.
And our marriage is our work. Like, I'm not saying but at least like, can you imagine having to I've never been. When you're young, when you're this age and somebody breaks your heart, and you have guys working on your team, you got to take them aside and be like, hey man, you okay? Because that's hard. Those are hard times. But on the other hand, people that are going through divorces and things like that, I never have been. And that's such a distraction too. Like, relationships are messy and hard. And when you got guys that are working for you that are going through that, it's like, oh, God, you're not getting anything done.
And I think the old days, it used to be suck it up, rub some dirt on it, and walk around, you'll be fine, right? But now I think we have to kind of come and understand what they're going through. I'm not saying do the work for them, but we have to have some empathy in a sort of way to be a good mentor, a good leader, asking good questions, and really coming from an angle of empathy.
Yeah, I just, I don't know. It's tough. I can't imagine waking up tomorrow and my son's not there to say good morning to me. And you got to go to work and keep driving on.
I know the feeling. There's times where you do think about those kind of things.
I made the mistakes at the right time in my life, and they weren't all perfect. And my life, but all the success I've had in my life is not perfect. But we can all do better. You can keep doing better. I think that financially, everything's going to come together in your life. You just got to find the people that are going to push you to be better in the areas that you need to be better in. And we can all. There's people in my church I look at and think like. They really look up to me, and I'm thinking, you have no idea how much I look up to you. And they don't. We think. I don't think for 1 minute that I'm better because of I've done better or this or that. I think you have to. I think there's so many people that probably just want to be like me, but I just really want to be like them.
I love your humbleness. Yeah. It's fantastic.
It's huge. I think about it every day. Like, man. I have no idea.
Well, we're blessed, and it's about gratitude. And speaking of gratitude,
I knew this was coming
on the show. I didn't give you a free bucket of salt, but I can always give
is
you
there
one.
mice poison in there? That looks like a bucket of poison I just got. Like,
so I always like you to have a little memory of our show together. It's a little trophy.
Oh, that's
put that on your desk, or put it in the closet and hide it away, or melt it down. And then, of course, a little mug for our podcast.
It's the first trophy I got since
the participation trophies.
I'm gonna make this my new fave.
There you go.
Oh, the podcast cup.
And I know you don't like you read, but you would rather listen to. So I got one sent to you too by Audible. But this is a great.
How do you
book.
Send Audible books?
You
can learn how to do that.
I'll send you. I'm sending you the.
I checked this guy out last night because I had an idea you were going to do this. I'm like, that's awesome.
So this
Did you
book
read
is
this book?
fantastic. Yeah,
just recently.
It's really good.
Recently,
I read it a few years ago and I reread it a couple times. I don't know if you know about this book or have heard about it. But
I knew the name, but then I started.
He studied the military quite a bit, like military guys. And what I really enjoy about that book is that he talks about leaders have to have a servant leadership, right? A servant mind. And with being a mentor the way you are, it's a servant type of mentality that you have to be able to help.
This is great. I send and give people a lot of books. If you looked at my Amazon, I'd say like most of them bought for others.
Yeah.
But now that you tell me I can buy people audio books, I didn't know.
So
that you can
I have
give them.
credits, and then I just use one of my credits to send you the gift.
I know, but I got to figure out how to do that. That's very nice. Books are the my teachers would never think that. I wish we had Audible when I was in Turtles. That would have been pretty helpful.
or at least had the what I use Cliff Notes versions. Remember the Cliff Notes?
Yeah, but I couldn't afford those, and that's probably my friend. Like if we were supposed to read a book in English class, I never read it. I never passed a quiz. I never I read one book. I remember. I didn't do any homework.
I think that we had to do a report on To Kill a Mockingbird. I watched the movie.
Yeah.
I did the report by skimming through the book.
Yeah, instead of writing a
And
book
the
report,
Cliff
I'd build
Notes.
this cool thing of like building a train set. Like
Yeah.
I'd do like a science fair project on here's the. I remember. I remember doing a big project like that. But thanks for the book. That's thank you for the gifts.
And
thank
one
you for
last thing.
There's more?
One more, because I just
This
think
is
that
crazy.
you're such a difference.
I was trying to think what I could get you today. I'm going to have to one up you someday here.
But your friendship is more than plenty.
Dedicated individual.
I thought about you because the difference you're making in Marcus's life, the difference you made in my life, helping me find a building and increasing who I am as a person and our conversations that we've had, the things you've taught me. You are truly a difference maker in this
I've watched other shows. I've never seen these gifts. Do you have a drawer full of these or?
I did buy extra for different people, but I don't give them out all the time.
I appreciate your super kind words. And that's this is probably one of the coolest things I've ever got. I mean, I like the coffee cup, but this is
awesome.
It's kind of cool.
Well, I can't thank you enough again for being on the show, Jeff, on our Twin City Tales podcast. If you want to learn more about Jeff, you can visit www.c as in commercial, E as in equity, G as in group, spaces.com. Again, that's CEGS spaces.com. Or visit us at Twin City Tales Facebook page, and we'll post it on there. And as we roll out of here, I want to thank Chris Hockey for the use of his song Thanks, obviously with no pun intended.
You told me all about that song. It's awesome.
It is. He's a great guy. This podcast is powered by Twin City Heating and Electric. And until the next show, you can't go wrong with Wymond on Twin City Tales Podcast.
This song goes out to my family, to all the ones who died before me. I'm sure the family life made you do things you never wanted to, so I wrote this song to say thank you for the breath that I just took, for the life my son will lead. I hope when you look down from heaven, that you